have lots of pages. I'm not going to read them all. He's got a dynamic background in the financial world. Starting with, he had a financial background, he had impeccable academic credentials. Starting in 2002, he had about six different positions, all with a common theme of financial success and motivating and achieving financial success through various consulting and financial institutions. I'm going to read one thing from somebody that hosted that knows Todd well on LinkedIn, and she said, I'm pleased to recommend Todd, an incredibly versatile finance leader with a background that includes roles as COO, CFO, controller, VP at various levels, director and senior management in financial services, including experiences in private equity, workouts. It's a different kind of workout. Michael was talking about international business, mergers and acquisitions, revenue cycle optimization, and business transformation. Even just to remember that list is pretty impressive. He has a unique background with skills gained on the global front and is a real asset to Central Indiana businesses who are either poised to move to the next level or who need financial intervention to ensure that there is a future for the business. And there are often many businesses like that. So today, we're going to talk about leadership success. What happens when you stop managing and start leading as a business leader? And he's lived that transformation. He bought a company. He nearly tripled sales in a short time. And there's a lot of emphasis here. He's given lots of talks, including TED Talks, speakers. He's a CPA, an MBA. As I said, I could go on, and I will. But I'm going to turn it over to Todd, and he's going to talk today about some relevance for our club, and that is lead like a pro. If I can say it correctly. So, yes, thank you very much for joining today.
What an honor to be here. And I'm familiar with the tradition that when you talk, you give some happy bucks. So let me honor that tradition. I've always admired, we're stuck over here again. I've always admired this community, how it promotes growth and business. Everybody comes together. Everybody really collaborates. And what it does is it builds this culture in the local community. It adds to the health of the local community. So
we are lost again.
Okay. So what really happens a lot of times as leaders is we don't get ourselves into trouble because we don't care. We get ourselves into trouble because we're all there. We're carrying the whole weight of the world right here on our shoulders. We don't check every email. We approve every decision. Everything crosses our desk. We have to look at it. We have to check it. But there's something that happens when we do that. We end up feeling burnt out. We end up running on empty half of the time. So has anybody felt that way? There's some hands going. I know I have. I lived there for many years. I thought I had to do it all. I thought I had to check everything because I thought that's what leadership was. But today I want to share a different way to lead. And I call it the lead framework. So let go. So it's how to lead without losing control. Empower. How to get your team to actually step up. Align. Make sure everybody's expectations are the same and headed in the same direction.
Thank you.
Develop. That's the last step. Now, how do we turn our people into leaders who follow through? So if you want a culture like that, then this session is for you. So let's get started. Now, recently I had this aha moment. John, mention some of the things that I've did over the years, and I look back and realize 40 years have flown by. 2 years in benefits consulting, 3 years working for the Crown Family Office in Chicago, 30 years in finance when all that stuff that John mentioned happened, and more recently, 5 years owning a large cleaning operation on the northeast side of Indianapolis. So on paper, I look like a great success. I grew a firm, a fund administration firm actually, from startup to $2 billion in assets. It led to my being recruited by ABN AMRO LaSalle Bank back in the day when it existed, before it was bought and broken up. They wanted to start a business. They didn't know how to do it, so they brought me in to help them figure out how to enter that field, fund administration. We grew that business unit to 14 billion. And then along the way, I realized I'd spent 25 years in the C-suite. So doesn't that look like you're really the definition of success? But you know what was happening? For decades, I led through control. I thought you had to control every decision, everything that happened that your team did. I double-checked everything. I carried all that weight right here. You know, the truth is, it looks strong from the outside, but it's exhausting. And then what you get from your people is compliance. I wasn't getting commitment. My teams waited for instructions and said, well, what do we do, boss? So there it was. Everything's landing right there on my desk again and again and again. But I hit the ceiling. Quite literally, I was the ceiling. I was the limiting factor because everything had to cross my desk. But it changed when I bought this franchise. It was available in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. It had great financials. I spotted it on a business broker website and decided to buy it. My position with Alter Domus had ended March 6, 2020, just before the pandemic lockdowns. I said to my wife, oh, look at this. Looks great. She goes, a cleaning company. A cleaning company. I've been in finance for all these years. But believe me, once she started making the daily deposits, now she says, a cleaning company. So what ended up happening is I literally stepped away from the corporate desk and got into the day-to-day with my teams. And I traded command, control for connection with the people I live with and who work with me. And I stopped micromanaging them. And I started trusting them. The result that happened was it doubled in size in 2.5 years. I ended up being named Franchisee of the Year twice. But that really wasn't the trophy. It was the culture that developed through changing how I led. I realized that real leadership wasn't about having all the answers. There's just too much to know out there. We have to know how to find the answers and how to utilize the help that's around us to get those answers. But if we provide this clarity on what direction we're going, then the team can go out there and the team can help us find answers. So I stopped managing every move and I started leading more intentionally. And when I did, the team stepped up. They actually started taking care of things. They started solving problems. So what I realized through that was when we lead with clarity and trust and vision, then we build teams that deliver exceptional results. And we don't need to constantly watch every single thing they do. So it really changed everything. It came down to that, stopping managing every detail and actually starting to lead and getting clear on what's the vision. They got higher performance, more initiative, didn't have to check everything. Oh my gosh, what a relief to just be able to let go of some stuff. So you'll learn that too. And that's back to what I call the LEAD framework: let go, empower, align, and develop. So we're going to go through each of these 4 steps and explain what each step is so that you can apply it when you leave. But it starts with probably the most difficult step for us as leaders, that letting go part. We've been taught if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. And culturally, we're rewarded for being the one who fixes everything. There's a lot of incentives to be the one who comes in and saves the day, right? But isn't it tiring? You do it all day long, every day. So here's the reality with the let go. We become the bottleneck. Everything runs through us. So when we run out of capacity, things start to either drop, or they get delayed, or they just don't happen. And it doesn't scale beyond what we can get our arms around if we have to control everything. So when I took over the cleaning company, I did still cling to that command and control structure. At first, I did review all the complaints and approve all the bonuses, check every payroll. I really thought I did, but I realized I was holding the business back. I sat down with my managers, Erica, Miriam, Julissa, Araceli, Patty. They're still with me today. They literally run the company for me. But at the time I said, you know the business. You grew up in this business from the bottom up. You know our values. You don't have to wait for me. Make the call, make the decision. So, was it scary? Well, yes, it was scary. And were there missteps? We had missteps. But they stepped up. They made faster, better decisions than I ever could have. And the business didn't just survive, it soared. So letting go isn't really about doing less. It's about creating the space so that other people around you can rise. So we think about what is our mindset shift for let go. It's moving from, oh, I have to do it myself, and moving to this place of when I create clarity, my team will rise. Our process shift in this case for let go is define the outcomes. Rather than giving instructions on every step, tell them what success looks like, then step back. But allow space for growth tuition. Those minor missteps that happen are what helps them learn to lead. Forbes recently wrote that the most effective organizations thrive not because leaders do everything, but because they know how to let go. So your superpower for let go is trust. Trust transforms delegation into development. But we do have to be careful. If we just let go and we stop there, we're abandoning the team. So we really need the next step. And that's empower. Now, letting go clears the space on our desk and for us to be leaders rather than managers of every little task. So that, but if it's just that letting go, then the teams can get frustrated. Then we don't want to leave the teams alone to just fend for themselves. They still need us as leaders around them. They need more than autonomy. They need tools and clarity, encouragement to rise to the challenges. And to make this work, we move on to empower. Because once we let go, now our next step is to empower our teams. Most of us were trained to give orders, not authority. Remember, we were the one checking, we're the one approving, we're the one deciding. But empower is letting go of that. And it's more than giving their teams a job. It's about giving them ownership. So at the cleaning company, I had great systems in place, but things still felt stuck. The problems always seemed to land right back on my desk, where I realized I'd given my managers responsibility, but I hadn't actually given them the keys and the authority that they needed. So I changed my approach and I stopped telling them what to do. And I started asking questions like, what is your plan? What would you do in this situation? What help and support do you need from me? And the transformation was immediate. They started solving problems before they landed on my desk. They stopped being followers. They became leaders because I finally got out of their way and let them do what they're capable of doing. So really, empowerment unlocks a capability that's already there in the room, already there in the team. It just needs to be trusted. So our mindset shift for empower is moving away from, well, they should just do their jobs, right? Of course, we know what they're supposed to do. We hire them to do their jobs. But moving to this place of, well, it's my job to give them what they need to do their job well. And that leads us to the process shift for empower. When we remove obstacles and we ask, what's in your way? How can we fix it? How can we help you? That's when the real transformation happens and the magic happens. One thing that really brings this out in the team is open-ended rewards. They respond incredibly well when there are rewards available for doing what the team needs to do, doing what the clients and customers ask us to deliver at the organization. So at the cleaning company, we give a bonus for every positive Google review. If they get 100 positive Google reviews, they get 100 bonuses. And it has been transformational. We went from 200 Google reviews to over 1,000 Google reviews just in the last few years. MIT Sloan tells us that when employees don't have a say on the job, then burnout skyrockets. So this giving them a voice has real power to it. But we combat that with our superpower for empower, and that's recognition. We recognize their teams out loud. We celebrate their wins publicly. Recognition is this fuel that keeps the engine of empowerment running. It's that high octane that we put into the gas tank for our teams. So if we let go and we've empowered our teams, but if we don't go one step further, then we run into a problem. They're motivated, they're running fast, but if they're all going in different directions, we don't have a business or an organization. We've got chaos. To to fix that, we really need the next step. This is where individual effort becomes unified momentum through alignment. See, employees don't fail because they don't care. They fail because they weren't told what great looks like. So when expectations are vague, our teams don't push harder. They'll pull back. They feel uncertain. They don't know what to do next. So when I took over the franchise, we did have high turnover, and the morale was not great. My managers were working hard, but they were working in different directions. One manager would optimize for speed, another manager would optimize for quality. They were empowered, but they weren't aligned. So I started asking them, can you tell me what a great day looks like? They shrugged, they didn't have a lot to say, they looked at each other, they weren't sure. Nobody had ever really defined that for them. So we did. We sat down and we defined what great looks like. And it meant things like on-time arrivals, clean uniforms, 5-star reviews, because we delivered what the customer asked us to do. The way they asked us to do and beyond. We stopped talking about cleaning houses. We aligned on serving families. When we align on values, we can stop policing what our teams do. And why is that? That's because we can trust their decisions. Alignment's that bridge between autonomy and strategy. So our mindset shift here for Align is moving from, well, I told them what the expectations are. Yeah, and I told them. But when we move to, if we share the same values, I can trust your decisions. And then our process shift for Align is to make success visible. Post metrics. Tie bonuses to exactly what your customers value. They're actually what they ask you for. You got to have alignment from the very top of the organization all the way down to the worker bee at the bottom of the pyramid. When you correct somebody, do it in private. Explain to them that when you do X, then Y happens. We really don't care for Y. Let's move toward making Z happen. So, praise in public, correct in private, but in a gentle teaching, learning manner. Forbes tells us that alignment gives an organization a massive advantage because everyone knows exactly what to do without being told. Our superpower for Align is clarity. And our new title is Chief Reminding Officer. We must be crystal clear on where that ship is going. So everyone's rowing in the same direction. Clarity eliminates that confusion and enables speed. But alignment isn't enough. We have to go one step further. If we want our teams to actually rise to new challenges, then we have to complete the final step. And that's develop. People don't grow just because we hired them. They grow because somebody sees their potential and helps bring it to life. And that's us as leaders. We're the ones who have that power to make that happen in their lives. So in a lot of companies, development is a quick annual review or some sort of promise of things that'll come in some uncertain time in the future, someday. But real development is personal. It's more than sending somebody to a training room or a conference. It's those conversations in the hall. It's those conversations around the coffee station. Why and how we made the decisions we did. Why things are working the way they are. It happens when we look at a team member and we say to them, I see something in you and I'm going to help you rise. So back to what was happening at my cleaning company, I realized that my managers were working hard, but they were still working in these silos. They didn't see themselves as leaders yet. So I brought them together for weekly coaching. We didn't just talk about the business. We discussed leadership, conflict resolution, even personal finance. We role-played through tough conversations on how to talk to an unsatisfied or unhappy customer, for example. What the different ways or possibilities were of responding. We keep asking each other every time we get together, how can we be better than we were yesterday? How can we keep improving and keep growing? Something powerful happened. They stopped waiting for my answers and they started bringing their own answers. And then they began coaching each other. They invested their hearts in my business because I invested my time in them. And what ended up happening at that point was pretty amazing because, wait 1 second here. Because what they had done is they had brought each other together and they started deciding what the business should be and how it should run. So what happened is they decided what the culture should be. They changed how the business ran, and they do that on a daily basis for me right now. The mindset shift for develop is moving from they should grow on their own to my team grows because I believe in them. And I show up to coach them. So we have process shifts for develop. If we coach them consistently and we don't wait for annual reviews, we make growth part of the weekly rhythm. We support the person, not just the role. We ask them where they want to be next and we help them get there. Remember, there's one thing that some companies forget. When you hire a person, you get the whole package. You don't just get their professional work side. When people don't check the personal life at the door when they come to work in the morning. So when we create space for them to take care of emergencies in their life, somebody in their family being sick, a car that breaks down, what they bring us in return is they bring their heart and soul to work. And then finally, what we want to do is we want to celebrate the stretch. Harvard Business School tells us that development isn't just a perk. It's a strategic decision. It shapes our organizations. It drives them forward. So our superpower for development is growth conversations. When we talk with them and we show them how to grow, we show them what our thought processes are as we make decisions, how we lead. And when we have these conversations, our business becomes more than just a reflection of our hard work. It becomes a reflection of our leadership. So the power of lead isn't just checking the boxes. It's the human conversations that happen. Where do you want to be in 5 years? How can I help you get there? When we do that, they believe in the mission. It lets us lead with this clarity, this trust, this vision, and we're building more than just teams. We're building the performance engine for the organization, and we're building the future leaders for the organization. So the real power of the LEAD framework behind Let Go is let go so others can rise. Empower so our teams step forward confidently. Align so everyone moves in the same direction. And develop so our people grow into the leaders that grow our businesses. So this framework gives us our ultimate superpower. It's multiplier. Because leaders don't just add effort, they multiply impact. We're building the systems that work through our teams, not around them. We're multiplying literally by letting go, initiative by empowering, focus by aligning. So leadership isn't about doing more, it's about leading better. It's not about the hustle. It's about creating conditions where our teams accelerate. And then we lead differently. Our businesses become more than just a reflection of our hard work. They become a reflection of our leadership. So what I want to say to you is that great leadership doesn't come from control. It comes from multiplying impact through everyone else. And when we care about that impact, then the people around us will step up. The organizations will grow. Our impact on our communities, it will multiply. So that's exactly why John and Ron brought me here today to share this with you. And I'm so grateful to the Westfield Rotary Club for having me speak for a few minutes this morning. All of you are the ones who go out there. You make this possible each and every day. So let me leave you with a belief that guides everything I say from the stage or when I work individually with organizations, is that the best leaders don't just manage tasks. They build people. And when you build people, you are building the business and the community. Questions? Yes, please. What questions do you have?
Did you have an associate that you worked with that maybe you just were frustrated with and some others and moment and it all came together in a general sense? Could you explain that to us?
Yes, we have. Associates that we've worked with, things that both were parted ways and where things eventually worked out. That $2 billion business that I mentioned, my partner and I did end up parting ways there. We saw things differently. We had completely different values. Moving forward, maybe in Amarillo, it took a while to get them to see how to grow that business. They were thinking that we had to have the lowest prices, we had to offer completely automated service. I said, no, we do not need to have the lowest prices. We can be competitive on the market. It's about the people, it's about the connections, the relationships. And in the end, that's exactly how we grew the business. Just the connections through the relationship. But convincing the division head to see it differently was a challenge. What finally made it happen is we were sitting at a meeting trying to close a couple of clients, large clients that are bringing sort of $1 billion worth of business to the bank. And finally just they had asked a question that opened the door for this. How the work got done, who did it. Well, let me introduce you. These are the people who take care of the work. These are the people you will talk to. This is exactly what your results will look like that we will deliver each and every time. And in that case, the division had finally said, okay. I think you've got that right.
How big was your company when you first started? What is it now as far as people under you?
The cleaning company?
Yeah.
When I took it over, we had 619 claims on the books. We would have said that we had about 32 employees. On a good day, maybe 22 would show up. We now have over 60 employees from 14 different countries.
Wow.
As of a couple of days ago, we were right around 974 recurring clients. Revenues were $1.6 million when I bought the business. We finished 2020 at $1.8 million. We're now north of $4 million a year annually.
What happened to you? So you described two very different approaches.
Correct.
Command and control, 25 years of that, and then a very people-centric approach. What opened your eyes to this change, to the cause allowed this change to happen?
It's not the first time I've been asked that question. And as I look back on what I was doing the whole time, and even some of the corporate positions I had that didn't go particularly well, it was because my values, at heart, my values were always different than the company. The company was looking for how can we do it the fewest resources, lowest cost possible. And I found myself always protecting my team and always protecting the people who worked with me, for me. And I realized that at times when I clashed with the companies I worked for was because of that. And more in recent years, people kept asking, well, what were you doing? What were you doing? And I finally was able to articulate it. And that's how it came together in this presentation and the other keynotes that I do about being people focused. I realized I all along was people focused. I just hadn't really realized how people focused I was. So to describe it a little bit differently, because it almost sounds like, well, how do you feel about systems and technology would be well, we use all the latest technology. We use all the latest systems available to us. That's the core. But what we do is we wrap something around it that most organizations don't. And it's just focus on people. So think of it. And here's a simple illustration that most people can relate to. You have a leak in your utility area in your house. You call a plumber. The first one arrives, his uniform's a bit crumpled, dirty, shoes are dirty, tracks through the house. Yes, he fixes the leak. He leaves a puddle, he leaves pieces of metal and pieces of pipe and stuff behind for you to clean up. On the way out, he hands you a bill. Or plumber B comes, uniform's nice and clean, tools and everything are nice and clean. Before he steps into your house, he puts on shoe covers, goes back to the utility area, fixes the leak, cleans up, picks up every little piece of metal and pipe and stuff like that. Well, he wants to be paid too, so you still get the bill. But which experience do you want? The second plumber brought his heart and soul to it. He cared. They both got the job done, but they got it done at different levels. And that's what has really made the businesses that I've been able to run and control work. When the people care, when we give them a reason to care, and it's more than just talk. We reward them with bonuses that are tied to what we promise to our customers. And we get employee retention, which automatically lowers our hiring and training and all those costs that go with the learning curve, learning the job and the mistakes that new employees make. They start telling their friends and family what a great place we are to work at. People, new wait list, people are walking in our door, 5 to 8 people or more a week asking to work there. So we pay nothing to advertise for new employees. They care when they do their job, and the customers notice that. So our customer retention has soared and the turnover has plummeted, and customers are referring other customers. And then we get to number 5, which is the big one. And the customers tell the world what a great job we did. It's like gold. And that customer after that and the customer after that comes to us and says, oh, I read all those great reviews and everybody had such wonderful things to say about their experience. Sign me up. So we get those 5 things by wrapping this culture around there.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Scott. We give a book to the library.
If the thing is not in there, I'm gonna have to sign the front.
Okay, step the front right. We give a book to the library, so if we get you to sign your name in here, we would appreciate it, so we can donate that.